Well, we'll get going here. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank the Corps engineers for the use of their facility for the last 3 years. They're always very accommodating. We have a close relationship with the Corps, naturally being on the river. We deal with them on many issues. You know, I'm glad you showed up tonight because it's hard to get your message out when you're in my position. People like to complain, but they really don't like to get involved and hear what you have to say and to see what's going on in their community. You know, they like to sit back and talk about their friends about all the mistakes that are made in government from federal level to state level, but they never participate in government. So I'm glad to have you here. Another way we get our message out the best we can is I'm an active member in the North Alton Guthrie Businessmen's Association. Meet once a month, and I always go to those, speak occasionally, never more than once a year there. I'm a member of the Upper Alton Business Association. It used to be Businessmen's Association. They just changed it to business. They meet, matter of fact, we'll be meeting at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Always try to attend those, keep them up to speed on what's going on. I go to schools, I go to the Rotary, East End, different groups to speak, and that's how you try to get your message out to people. We have weed and seed meetings, which either I attend or Matt attends, and he can bring me back the information where people can kind of vent and let you know what they're complaining about or what's going on good in their neighborhood or bad. Normally we get the bad because the weed and seed neighborhoods were actually started in some of our more distressed neighborhoods, which is coming around nicely now. It's been a real good, rewarding program. You know, we try to stay as transparent as possible at City Hall. I keep an open door policy that people can walk in any time of day. If I'm there, I stop what I'm doing and talk to them and answer their questions. If I'm not, we call them back and we make arrangements. And sometimes they want to do it over the phone. Sometimes we just do it right there in the office, or they'll make an appointment to come back. I'm invited to many numerous activities on weekends, through the week. It's not uncommon to be gone from home 4 to 5 nights a week. Not uncommon to put in a 10, 12-hour day. If you want to do this job, you want to do it right, it takes a lot of time. With that comes some sacrifices from my family, and Mary, I want to thank you for your consideration. And without the support of your loved ones, you couldn't do this job. It just won't work. So you need that family support. And unfortunately, sometimes there's conflict of interest on scheduling, and sometimes you just have to tell somebody, no, I can't make it, and you have to set aside some time for your family. So there's priorities, and family is one of those priorities. I'd like to introduce my staff, if we would. Why don't we just all stand up, everybody for the city, and that way I won't miss anybody because I can't see very good here. Chief David Hayes is here. I'm Chief of Police. He does an excellent job. If you want to sit down after I recognize you, Chief, thank you. First, 4th Ward Alderman Alice Martin is here. Alice has been around how many years now, Alice? About 8 years as an alderwoman. Does a good job. Mary Pat here is my personal secretary, administrative assistant, to be politically correct. Rhonda Lewis has filled in here for the last 3 years as the Park and Rec Director, does an excellent job. These are the kind of people that you don't realize how many hours a week that these people put in the summertime. When you work in the park department, that's your busy time, and it's not uncommon to see Rhonda 7 days a week. Amphitheater nights, these people work long, hard hours, and without any additional compensation. So I appreciate you for that, Rhonda. I have our new fire chief here, Bernie Siebold. Bernie's a great addition to the fire department. Been around for how many years as a fireman, Bernie? 17 years. He's got his master's degree recently. Very well spoken, very well focused, and he's a great ally of the citizens of Alton. His assistant is Chief Mark Harris. Mark's been around, you probably got over, what, 21 now. And I asked Mark if that seat was big enough for him. He said he's comfortable, so Mark's a good guy too. Mike Beloff, who is 3rd Ward Alderman. Mike has been around now, we're winding up for his first term. He's done a good job, very responsive to his constituents. Thank you, Mike. Jim Ryan, Jim's been around as an alderman for 10 years now. And Charlie Brake next to him for 16. These guys are very active. They're in my office all the time. They stay in tune and they're responsive to their constituents. That's very important. Before I forget, I want to apologize for David Bowles not being here tonight. David's father-in-law died this morning. And so him and Mary, our city clerk, neither one are here. We like to have you remember them in their prayers. Dave's a good alderman, and Mary's been city clerk for a long time and does an excellent job and very cooperative. Everybody knows Matt in the city, and outside boundaries, Matt's is really my right hand when it comes to political issues, when it comes to the internet, when it comes to getting public relations. Matt does a great job, and I thank you, Matt. Comptroller Stephanie Elliott. Stephanie's been around, what, 12 years or so now?
13.
How many?
13.
13 years. That was close. And Stephanie does a good job. And we'll, her role and a couple of the other roles, we'll tie that in as we go on this evening. Bob Roth, he runs the sewage treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, I guess in softer words. Bob's been a long-time city employee, and I thank Bob for what you do. Cindy, his wife, is the city treasurer. Been in the city how many years, Cindy? 30-something years. So, and she's only 25 years old. We didn't have child labor laws with Cindy. But Cindy does a great job, and again, I'll expound on some of the roles she plays with me, especially when it comes to monetary issues. Gary Fleming, 16 years as an alderman, excellent alderman. Gary, I don't even think is out of position for a couple terms, so they talk about career politicians. Sometimes it's just because you do a good job. So thank you, Gary, for all you do. Dave Miles is going to be leaving us in a couple months. Dave is the personnel director. It's going to be big shoes to fill. Thank you, David, for all you do. Brad Cunningham has stepped up and filled the role of, Brad was actually the Park and Recs director. We lost a public works director right after I got elected. Things weren't working out. We had to save money. Brad just kind of jumped over there and just done an excellent job of grasping what goes on in that department. Brad's going to be leaving us in less than a year, too. So we're going to have a few vacancies around. Greg Caffey, Greg, how long have you been around?
11 years.
How many?
11.
11 years. Greg works in the building and zoning department with Phil, almost all of our grants, which we'll touch on that in a minute, and how many dollars in grants we get. You have to have an excellent grant writer. You have to know how to put those things together. You have to look for them. You have to know where to look for them. And Greg just does an outstanding job. I think Phil's been with the city 22 years.
Yes, sir.
And survived how many mayors?
4.
4 mayors. That's a challenge in itself right there. And Phil does another excellent job, and we're going to talk about some great topics tonight of just what Phil takes care of in his department and how some of these things come to fruition. I don't think I've missed anybody, so with that we'll get going. I'm having a hard time seeing here, so I'm going to take my glasses off. It's probably best that way I can't see you. This is my third State of the City address, and I'm very proud to say that through hard work, dedicated employees, and fiscal restraint, we have once again to continue to improve our community. These are during some of the most challenging monetarily times that this city has ever seen, and a lot of governments have ever seen. Local governments are really struggling. We're going to touch on a whole lot of topics tonight, but I'm just going to touch on all of them briefly to keep this thing rolling and get you out of here. It's warm in here. And hopefully this will help you. And you're my best ally. An informed citizen is the best ally of city government, state government, or federal government. People that stay informed and know what they're talking about are our best friend, because you can carry on a legitimate conversation with them. Hopefully this will help you understand how the city works and some of this is a very complex organization. I'm going to give you a sense of direction of how your tax dollar, I'm going to say your tax dollar, because it's your money that makes this city click. But how your tax dollars are spent, kind of give you an overview of our financial picture, where we've been, where we're going, some progress that has been made, and some goals for the future. We've been very fortunate in Alton during these tough times to see a combination of new businesses, business retention, and business expansion. And on a good note, we also have some terrific plans on the drawing board, which I'm going to get to also when we get to the economic development part of this tonight. I was a Navy hospital corpsman in the 1960s with the 2nd Marine Division. And what that means is a medic. But when you're a medic and you go through the training, the first thing you do is if you see a serious wound, you have to stop the bleeding. Well, I kind of related that to when I got elected 3 years ago and started in city government as the mayor. We were bleeding financially. We were bleeding money daily. And the first thing you have to do, and if I wouldn't have, the pulse of the city would have stopped, and we would have just flatlined, and I don't know what kind of chaotic sequence would have came out of that. I mean, we were bleeding money profusely. To give you a progressive approach, and we've been through this before, those of you who've been to my previous State of the City, really quickly, I'll get your arms around it. But the first year we were there, we had a $1.8 million deficit. $1.8 million. Revenues to expenditures that were short. Our largest expense is labor, and unfortunately, due to that fact, that's where we had to start cutting. It's never pleasant. I don't want to be redundant. You've heard this from me before. But unfortunately, we had to have a few layoffs. Some people quit. Some took retirement, which helped. We did have a few layoffs from time to time. But I'll tell you, those moves we made then are what solidified us for now. And there's nobody in danger of being laid off right now unless a catastrophe would hit. Those are very, very unpleasant situations, and especially for me, and especially for the people who lost a paycheck. Some of these people that I had to turn around and look in the eye were people that were out knocking doors with me, riding on buses with me, putting yard signs up for me to get reelected. Boy, you talk about a tough pill to swallow. It was tough, and my department heads, a lot of them never had to address that issue and lay people off before. But we did. We made those tough choices, and that's the reason we're here today. We wouldn't be here having this conversation without those kind of choices. Our second year when we were there was, we were about $1 million, so we shaved about $800,000 the first year off the budget. The second year we were down to $1 million. Well, this year we're going into this third full year of my term, and we've got about a $500,000 gap. So all this hard work is paid off. We're going in the right direction. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, how do you survive when you're short $1.8 million, and then $1 million, and then actually I think it's $537,000 was the difference between budget and revenues this year. And we're going to get into that. We're going to show you some of the cost-saving measures we did on top of what I just talked about reducing our employees. One of the most impressive results that I am most proud of through all of this, and all this turmoil, and all this shortages of funding, is our bond rating went from an A to an A+. And that's because of the maneuvers and the things that we had to do to get this ship that was sinking right. And I'm very proud of that. And today, we still have an A+ bond rating in the city. Well, with that, we've kind of recapped the last 3 years. Now we're going to venture into the budget year right now, which we call the, what is it, 12-13? 12-13 budget. You know, everybody has a vision, and they have a vision of what they'd like their community to look like, what their community should be. To achieve this, you have to have a budget. What is a budget? A budget is actually a story. It tells a story. If you look at the budget, if you live on a budget at home, it tells you a story. It tells you how maybe your eating habits, because you're lending so much money for groceries. Your transportation habits, what kind of car can you afford? Your savings plan, how are you planning for your future? Your maintenance on your property, your home you own. So our budget is no different. Just imagine the city, you don't own the houses, but you own everything around it. So what we have to do is we have to maintain all that infrastructure, which is streets, and road lights, and public safety, police and fire protection, snow removal, which is a big deal when you live in a city like Alton. A lot of snow cities now, I was just talking to a couple of mayors over the weekend, we had a meeting. A lot of cities now don't plow snow unless they have over 2 inches. Once it hits the 2-inch mark or above, then they start plowing. We don't have that luxury at all. 2 inches of snow on a hill is a lot of snow. And we have to have the roads clear for our police and fire and people to get to work. But the budget's got to tell us a story. And to meet those demands, what you have to do, because the citizen demands and requests never end, no matter what your budget is, they still keep rolling in. The average guy on the street doesn't want to hear about my money problems as the mayor. He wants something done. I pay taxes. That's the first thing you hear. Of course, you know, you'd like to say, well, we all pay taxes. Mine aren't free either, but you can't do that. So anyway, with that being said, we try to set priorities. What we do is when we get close to the budget cycle, Stephanie, my comptroller, and Cindy Roth, my treasurer, we sit down, we try to estimate revenues for the coming year, and then we try to divvy up the budget and kind of what we do. Then we come down, we try to prioritize projects. We have to prioritize what is vital to the community, what has to be done to keep us rolling. And then when we go to that, after we prioritize what is vital, then we go to what needs to be done and what will have a positive effect on the citizens in the city. And then last of all, we have a wish list, what we call. These issues range from infrastructure, parks and rec, public safety, growth stimulation, the overall appearance of the city, in the community, and this list just goes on and on. By being efficient, frugal, and having a plan. You have to have a plan. You just can't fly by the seat of your pants, and especially when you've got these kind of shortages. You have to set definite goals, and you have to stick with those goals. And that is what has enabled us to progress as a community. I mentioned earlier how we managed to survive the huge gap between revenues and expenditures. And anyone in business, especially if you have employees, will know the importance of workman's comp and comp claims. The amount of claims filed and the size of those claims that they pay out is what affects your bottom line for your city, your insurance at home, and also your car insurance. And it's the same way with the city. The more claims, the higher our premiums go. We are insured at the city with the Illinois Municipal League Risk Association. We were the first city to ever join 25, 30 years ago. Jim Shrimp in here? Did Jim come in? Jim would know.
1981.
When did we join that, Jim? Do you remember?
It was formed in 1981. We joined charter member.
Okay, so we've been with the same insurance program for a long time. Just to give you an idea of how this works, in 2008, our total claims between work, comp, liability, and property damage, we had 158 claims. In 2009, we had 119 claims. From 2000 to 10 and 11, we had 238 claims, which means we stayed steady at 119 claims per year. But the average amount of those claims dropped by over 50%. Now there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that. But dollar amount of that, we went from $1.5 million for 1 year to $1.537 for 2 years. So we dropped the average amount of a claim by 50%. The average cost per claim in 2009 was $12,610. The average cost per claim in 2010 was $4,800. And in 11 we spiked back up, something must have happened, to $8,100. But still the total for those 2 years was less than the previous year of 2009. Lost time accidents paid in 2009 was averaged $65,123. By 2010, we've reduced that to $15,900. That's a reduction of 70% per claim. These efforts caused our insurance premiums to drop. In the first year, they dropped by $24,000-something, and then the next year they dropped again by $22,000-something. So we had a $46,000, $800 right there a year less we're paying out just for insurance claims. The ultimate goal of all this, though, is we want to have a work-safe, incident-free environment for our employees. That's our real goal. The money's secondary. We want all our employees to be able to go home safe every night from work, and some of our employees deal with some very dangerous tools, and the policemen and the firemen with their exposure, the park people with the lawnmowers and the tractors and the chainsaws. So when you have that many employees, you're going to have accidents. Our goal, though, is striving to be accident-free. Some people, they focus only on the failures. When I worked for the grocery companies, I won't say who, they were always complaining about the failures and the accidents that weren't prevented. They never were proactive, to me, as preventing accidents from happening. And we've taken a very proactive approach. We have continuous improvement activities. We have positive performance measures that we go for. We strive, again, I repeat, for an incident-free workplace. We diligently work to provide and train our employees with safety classes. We give them the knowledge and the tools to avoid injuries altogether, or at least reduce the severity of those injuries. We have put in a monthly safety program. You've heard me say this before. The adjuster from IML Risk comes down. He sits in our meetings. He has training normally at 7 in the morning with the various departments. We train everybody from work zone flagging. Sometimes if a flagger makes a mistake, he doesn't get hurt. You driving the car might get hurt. That's a claim on us. We do safe lifting techniques. We snow plow safety. A guy plowing the snow, I've ridden in a snow plow. And when it's snowing hard and you're focused out that window, you kind of get mesmerized. And that big plow in front, if it hits a parked car, hits a curb, does damage, those are claims for the city. We have snow plow training. Hazmat issues. We have bloodborne pathogens. Fire safety, defibrillators, CPR. We do all that with our employees to keep them up to speed. And it's proven by our insurance claims that it's working. So you've got a guideline there. These just aren't works. There's There's money attached to the results from this. Our payroll. Our payroll from 2009 to 2010 was about $17,400,000 for a year. That's a calendar year, January 1 through 12/31. We dropped that a total of $1,681,000 in 2 years. Our payroll dropped $1,681,000 in 2 years. That's how you come in. That's how you survive. When I was talking about earlier, how do you survive with those gaps? We're hitting on $40,000 here, $20,000 here, $1,600,000 here. Our budget those first two full years I was here, the first year we came up at 5% under budget. Take 5% of about a $30 million budget, and you can do the math in your head. Hard to improve on that. The next year we came in at 2.25% under budget. Overtime, we reduced overtime by $105,000 between 2010 and 11 and 12. Actually, we reduced it $130,000 for those 2 years. We reduced it $104,000 the first year, and then again, hard to improve on that, we reduced it by another $24,000 the second year. We have received grants. Here's where Greg comes in again. Excuse me. We've received grants for over $25 million in 3 years. Now, there's a Cop Safer grant, which helps us pay for 3 policemen, I think. We're in our 3rd year of that. We get grants for infrastructure. We get, oh my gosh, there's grants for everything. OSLED grants, PEP grants, Park and Rec grants. But you have to know where to go get them, and you have to be active in pursuing those. Big part of this $25 million, as everybody knows, was $13 million was the Tiger grant, which nobody would have ever figured with little old Alton would get $13.5 million for a Tiger grant. You know, those are the grants that San Francisco and Los Angeles and Chicago get. Not Alton, Illinois, 28,000 people. And on top of that, we got another $7.5 million from the IDOT for the intermodal train station. So that helps. A lot of things get done because that's not city money, city general fund budget money. So we reduced expenses. That's one way we survived. Our employees stepped up to the plate, union and non-union alike. We were bleeding. People were in jeopardy of losing their jobs, and we were in jeopardy of not functioning as a city. We convinced the unions, they took wage freezes. The non-union people, everybody in this is in the same boat with me. Whatever one union gets, they all get, and whatever the union people get, the non-union people get. Where nobody in this is this any better than the other guy. We're all in the same boat, we all work hard, we all achieve the same goals, we're striving, we're pulling in the same direction, and we don't need any wink links there. I don't need any problems with one guy complaining and say, well, you gave this guy a raise, but you didn't give me one. His job is just as important as hers, and hers is just as important as him. So we kind of say, how do we determine what projects we're going to fund back to the budget? Well, the first step is, again, Cindy, I, and Stephanie sit down. We bring each department head in one at a time. Who knows better what needs to be done in that department than the department head? That's their job. You know, the fire chief knows what he needs. The police chief knows what he needs. Rhonda at the park department, she knows what she needs. And so we sit down, and it's grueling for us, and it's hard because these people, they just don't want. They take pride in what they do, and giving them that money helps them achieve their goals and what they were hired to do. And when I got to say, gosh, I can't give you the money for that, they're disappointed. I'm disappointed. You get shortchanged. But again, you have to live within those dollars, that budget amount. And I appreciate, as much as some of my department heads have probably been mad at me and said, that's the son of a gun, I appreciate the hard work you do, and you know, you made lemon out of lemonades for a couple years there, and we really did. We have a triage of some sort, if you might say, of what has to get done and what priority. Public work projects get very important, and money is always a factor. And unfortunately, in public works, sometimes usually the high expense gets that project put to the back burner. Sooner or later, it catches up to you. Some of the things we've done, and we haven't been fixing roads right. We've been doing the best we can do with the resources we got, but in time, that's going to catch up to you. And so we might have a little bit of good news on that toward the end of this. But anyway, so some park department or public works department projects sometimes get put on hold. Bob, who runs the wastewater treatment plant, that's an enterprise fund, that's an enterprise fund that's separate, so he usually gets his way a little better than most of them, because that money doesn't come out of the general fund. Just to give you an update on some things that are happening for the future and what's coming up this year, we are talking with citizens about opportunities to renovate Riverview Park. We have a combination of state OSLAD grants and scenic byway grants that we've applied for. Our funding is nearly complete. We're going to have a dog park. You know, 7 out of 10 people in this city have a pet, and most of them are dogs. And these people, you want to fill City Hall, mess with their dogs. You can raise their taxes, don't mess with their dogs. But anyway, we're going to have a dog park down at the Russell Commons. It's about a $105,000 project. Over 50% of that is private money, and it came from private contributions. We're working on Alton Tennis Committee is undertaking the restoration of a couple of tennis courts at the Simpsons Complex. That thing has kind of been ignored and going downhill. The goal is to restore the park at a fraction of the cost and give the city an opportunity to put tennis back on the right level and get us on a regular maintenance schedule with the tennis courts if we can pull that off. Everybody knows the summer concerts are lined up. This Friday we'll have a Blues Brothers concert at the amphitheater. It ought to be a good time. I would highly recommend you if you haven't been down there. It's $5 Friday. It's the best $5 you'll spend in entertainment. We have a company named Triple Jam Productions who is the promoters of this. They've taken some heat off the police department by hiring their own security. They've taken some other things on. We had city volunteers. Again, I can't say enough about people just in the city of Alton alone volunteering. Our first 2 seasons, again, you had city employees that worked all day, would come down there and stay till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, volunteering their time just to get our amphitheater going and get it off going in the right direction when it was new. And there was a lot of them. There wasn't just a handful. There was 30, 40 people that volunteered every night we had a production. The Park Department has replaced 10 sets of new SAFER certified soccer goals. They're recommended by the National Park and Parks Association and the Children Player Safety. Gordon Moore Park will host a 200-team 3 versus 3 soccer tournament this summer. That's huge. There won't be a hotel room in Alton, I'll guarantee you. They'll be staying in Collinsville and across the river. 200 teams, that's a lot. Gordon Moore will also host the 2012 Alton Police Benevolent Softball Tournament, and it will continue for the 25th consecutive year. We'll host the Illinois Amateur Softball Association Tournament. Park Department, again, ties into our green initiatives. They've implemented recycling at centers at Gordon Moore Park and the Riverfront Park Marina Complex, and that fits into with our Cool Cities Sustainability Act. The Madison County Park Enhancement Grants, this is some of the things we'll get. You voted as taxpayers several years ago to pay an additional 1/10 of a cent that went into a park fund. Several counties did, St. Clair and Madison, I know for sure. What happens is, once a year they give you that 1/10 of a cent back, so much per head per capita for your city. And that's what helps us, again, get some projects done. A 1/10 of a cent you don't miss, but it adds up, and here's some of the things that money will be spent on. But we'll have new fencing for the amphitheater. We'll have new fencing put up at the dog park. New fencing at the Gordon Moore ball fields. We're going to build an overlook at the prairie. Materials will be bought, and the overlook will be built for the Heartland Prairie overlook at Gordon Moore Park. And the construction of this will be done again, volunteers. Bluff City Baseball Organization has undertaken the renovation and reconstruction of Northside Park. A lot of the Northside Park was kind of off the charts there for a few years. They're renovating the ball diamonds. Work will include new dugouts, updated playground area, and they're repairing and replacing the field and fencing and backstop. Estimated value of volunteer work and materials will exceed $10,000. Speak about present labor again. We're going to kind of jump around, but labor built Gordon Moore Park, as everybody here knows. That park is over 20 years old now. It's showing some wear and tear. We have a great working relationship, I do, with labor, organized labor. We're in the process of having talks with them about, we're going to kick in some money for material, and we're in the process of talking with labor to come out and help us again, and they have graciously volunteered to do that. So you're going to see a lot of improvements at Gordon Moore Park, no cost. Rock Springs Park recently, back to the volunteers, we had over 600 Alton Middle School students, the faculty, Upper Alton Business Association, some drug-free Alton people, probably Sarah, you were probably in on that, the Main Street program, and several other organizations that went out and cleaned up Rock Springs Park. The Alton Park and Rec Department continues to its commitment to maintain and offer to the community the best parks in the Metro East. Matt set up a website. The city didn't have a website, or not a very active website, when we first got elected. But in 2009, we had 4,878 unique visitors. A unique visitor is somebody who gets on your website for the first time. Last year we had 8,035, so we've about doubled that number. In 2009, we had 9,878 hits, or visits. Last year we had 19,508. So people know where we're at. The internet has just, I always say this, guys my age just don't really comprehend how great a tool that is and how close it just brings the world. The world's at your fingertips if you can traverse that correctly. Some things that the mayor's office does. But the mayor's office, last year, this is not, the way the system we would like you to work is if you have a problem, you call your alderman. That way he's aware, he's elected by you in that ward. That way he's aware of what's going on in his ward. He funnels that to Matt, and then Matt funnels it to the proper department head, whether it's a police matter, fire, park, public works. And that's the way we can kind of keep an organized file of what's going on. Sometimes people circumvent that. But last year we had 54 police requests come through my office. Building and zoning, we had 241 requests. Backup, which is our probationary area cleanup people who just done a tremendous job lately. If you notice the belt line in the last couple of days, I had many businessmen call me yesterday morning and a couple email me, said it's the best the belt line's looked in many years. And that's IDOT's right away. I got tired of looking at it and I said, we'll do it ourselves. And the guys did a wonderful job. Public Works request, we had 131. Backup, I don't know if I said how many, but we had 237. Our foresters, tree trimmers, 35 came through my office. This is the one that really fries me, but freedom of information request. We had 666 counting the police department. I had 151 personally. Might be the most bizarre, dumbest law that the state of Illinois ever created. The intent is good, but the way it's set up, it is a nightmare. And nobody seems to want to do anything about it. 88 complaints last year, luckily we had none. A couple things going on in Public Works is currently, as we speak, as everybody knows, College Avenue is getting done from Annex Street all the way to 255 in Bethalto. Phase 2 of Fosterburg Road, for any of you that have to travel that, have been inconvenienced for quite a while. Hopefully that project's going to wrap up within the next week or so. It's way ahead of schedule. I got a call yesterday from Brad, Public Works Director, and he said he thinks that we can get that wrapped up by the end of maybe next week. City has been also awarded IDOT request for federal highway funds to do College Avenue from Washington to the Circle, probably be 2014, late 2014, early 2015, because it takes about a year just to do the engineering on those. But again, that'll be, I think there's something in the works to do Washington Avenue from College to the Beltline too, isn't there, Brad?
Yeah, that's one of the ranked projects that we put in for, but we haven't been awarded that money yet, so there's a chance we can get it.
Okay. City of Alton, again, we're under a federal mandate. Anybody that reads the Post-Dispatch knows how the sewer rates in Missouri and St. Louis are just, some of them have gone up $20, $30 a month because of the sewer separation. We're under a mandate by 2040 something to have a long-term control plan for sewer separation and wastewater. It's not a cheap project. Again, when a lot of things you see in the city, a lot of your dollars you never see because they're buried underground. This project, if it works out to the way we'd like it to work out, it's going to be about a $26 million project if the EPA will approve a plan that Shepherd Morgan & Schwab has presented to them. Right now it looks like they're high on it. And the good news is if we get that, it'll save us about $20 million, because if they nix that, our long-term controlled sewer plan is going to cost us, in today's dollars, about $44 to $45 million. And there's only one way to pay for that, and that's sewer rates go up. So, some of the projects that were completed in the last work year, 2011, because I haven't talked to some of you since then, but we overlaid Longfellow Street in Milton, which was a disaster. We overlaid Clawson Street, Berkeley Avenue, parts of some of these streets, not all of them. Brentwood Avenue, curbs, gutters, and overlay in the Milton area. People in Milton are always, Milton wasn't annexed into the city until '59, and that was all a part of Wood River Township. And people in Milton are always very appreciative when they can get a curb or a sidewalk, because they weren't part of the original city, and the expense of those is so high that they're long time coming projects. They also overlaid 3rd Street just east of City Hall last year. This year, some projects, as anybody can see, that goes downtown. We're fixing all the curbs, sidewalks. We're overlaying 3rd Street, trying to spruce downtown up. We're going to be overlaying Sugar Alley where people park. We constructed a 1,900-ton salt storage facility at the Public Works Building to help us store the salt and keep the EPA off our back. Just a quick comment on downtown and how nice it's going to look. Everybody knows who Frank Opinion is on the radio. Frank has a tremendous following. Well, just 2 days ago, Frank on his radio show had a girl and a guy who play music who are regulars on his show, and they were talking about downtown Alton. And he said, we played over there last weekend. And they were giving us more credit, said it's nicer than the Cleats Landing, it's more fun. I mean, we got $50,000 worth of free advertisement just because somebody visited downtown and liked it. So that's why it's important. That is kind of the core of our city for entertainment. And with all the work we're doing down there right now, we'll just nothing but enhance that. We received a state, what they call an IGIG. It's an Illinois Green Infrastructure Grant. It was $500,000. We matched that with $170,000, and we restored the creek out at the Wadlow site where everybody sees. This fall, you'll see about 200 native Illinois trees planted along that creek, and you'll see about 400 native species of Illinois plants being planted along that creek. The project's done now. It's on hold until we can do planting in the fall when the time's right. The seed mats are down. We get a little rain. You ought to see that green up again. And that's going to clean up that stream. It's going to help with stormwater in the Milton area during heavy rains, where we can retain some of that water and release it as needed. Milton has a terrible flooding problem, so this should help that. Public Works employees, always, just some other things they do just on an everyday basis. Of course, in the winter, the snow removal, but during the spring and summer, they continue to patch, maintain the city streets, storm and sanitary sewers. Police Department, what we have here for May of this year, compared to May of last year, the total violent crime index dropped 20%. These things can fluctuate in a heartbeat, though. So, to give you an example, last year we didn't have any homicides. This year we had one in May, so naturally you went from 0 to 100%. Just to show you how quick crime can, the stats can change on you. But overall, our crime is down 20% for the month, and violent crime was down for the year about 10.9% last year. Now, overall, crime last year was up 1.8%. Violent crime was down 12.5%. Since 1997, violent crime in Alton was down 34%. So back in 97, when Mayor Sandage came on board, he started doing something right, because our violent crime continues to go down. We have what we call a nuisance abatement task force, which is many people in the city like this. It prevents a landlord, if you get so many dings on your sheet, the police pay you a visit. And it's been very successful with drug busts, vicious dogs, DCFS problems. But anyway, this program is so successful that the chief is now working with Collinsville. They want to implement a nuisance abatement force task program. Scrap metal ordinances. Sometime on here, like I'll show you, minor theft or property crimes are on the rise. Scrap metal. We enacted a scrap metal ordinance. St. Louis enacted a scrap metal ordinance. St. Clair County, I think, Chief. And we're working with Macoupin County. What you've got to do is take the tools out of these guys' hands where they can steal your air conditioner and go 5 minutes down the street and sell it. Now we have ordinances to prevent that. The scrap dealers, the legitimate scrap dealers, are working with us. Talked to Madison County last week, and Alan Dunstan and Joe Parente, and they're going to push this through the Madison County. So Madison County in its entirety in the unincorporated area said, now we need to get Wood River and East Alton on board. That'll cut down. These guys will steal an air conditioner and get $10 for the parts to get a fix. That's good for a few hours. Then they go back on the street again. So your minor crimes and your petty crimes are what is going up. During the year of 2011, the fire department responded to 171 fires. They had a total call volume of 2,961. That was a 27% call reduction since 2009. This can be attributed to the dispatching the fire department to only critical, life-threatening emergency medical calls. Call reduction benefits the city by having less wear and tear on the apparatuses. A fire truck costs you $400,000 to $600,000. You don't want to wear those out unnecessarily. They get about 2 miles to the gallon, and we're paying $4 a gallon for fuel. You don't want to be running those trucks unless you have to. But this gives the firemen more time for public education and outreach. You'll also see those calls go down because late last October, actually it started October 17th, we implemented, when Chief Bach was still here, a new program on the calls that we were going to respond to and the ones that we shouldn't be responding to. I'm proud to say that those calls are averaging, I keep track every month, the Chief sends me a report, we're averaging about 4 calls a day where we were averaging about 15 to 17 a day. So that's huge. We issued the fire department, issued 169 CPR AED cards to citizens through classes. That's the cardiopulmonary resuscitation and the automated external defibrillators for heart attacks. People come in and take those classes through the fire department. We have 2 trained, I think we still have 2 car seat specialists. 3 now? Yes. If you have a baby, a grandchild, and you're not sure, a car seat is a great thing to have, but if you don't have it installed right, it really doesn't serve the purpose. So if you have your kids, grandkids, neighbors, anybody that has an infant, or up to however old I think they have to be, 6, 7, 8, go to the fire department. They'll help you and they'll show you how to install that thing right. The fire department offers a lot of services that people normally just don't think about. In 2012, again, back to our safety issue, every employee in the city is going to be instructed on CPR and how to use a defibrillator. We're buying defibrillators this year out of the general fund for every building in the city. The city hall will have one. Both firehouses already have them. The police station probably already has them, but we'll go to Public Works Park. Everybody will have one in case a citizen or an employee has a heart attack, and somebody should be on the premises that's trained how to use that and probably save a life. We'll also have them down at the amphitheater for in case we have a crowd down there and somebody has a heart attack. So you don't have to worry about rushing them to the hospital, get them stabilized, and then we'll get them to the hospital. All this comes around and helping us create a safer Alton. In addition to services already provided, 2 public service campaigns the fire department is working on is Help Us Find You. The fire department has noted that many homes in Alton do not have their address numbers up. This could create a problem for them in case of a fire. They're going to be notifying you. There is a city ordinance that you should have letters or numbers to identify your home address that are visible from the street. It may not seem like a big deal to you if you don't, but if you have a fire and they're looking for your address, it could be the difference between life and death. And also they are having a program they call Remember When at the fire department, and it's a fire and fall prevention program for our seniors. The National Fire Protection Association has developed a program that targets residents age 65 and older, and also those with disabilities. I'll try to pick this up a little bit for you. The Treasurer's Office is aggressively, again, how did we make ends meet? There's been a pet license ordinance on the books. We know back to 1921, it may even go back further than that, but we know it goes back to 21. Nobody was enforcing that license. We can't balance our budget on the back of the taxpayer, so we had to get innovative and create ways to generate funds. We didn't create a new ordinance. This has been on the books for 90 years. We started enforcing it. There's a big difference. We get our records from the Madison County Rabies Control. We're all on the same page electronically now. And they give us a database of who owns pets in the city. And we bill those owners for a license fee. A license is $5 a year. But just give you an example of the difference. In 2009, we collected money for 279 licenses. And keep in mind, 7 out of 10 people in this city have a dog or a cat, but mostly dogs. That generated $1,500. This year, we did 4,696 licenses, and we generated $28,000. That's one less tax dollar that you have to pay. Parking ticket collection. Years ago when I was an alderman, I thought it was a bad deal then, and I still do, and that's why we're getting out of it. But we outsourced our parking tickets to a company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They've done a terrible job. We've severed our ties with them. We've brought parking tickets back in-house, and we'll be receiving all the money instead of sharing it with somebody that wasn't really very aggressive in collections. Another one I don't even have on my notes here, we created an alarm ordinance. 93% of every burglar alarm that went off last year was a false alarm. We were here again. We were having the fire department run to every one of those. We were having policemen run to every one of them. We set up an alarm ordinance fee, and you get the first one free. After that, you pay a penalty. Why should you consume people's time that are on the payroll that could be doing something more protective when it's a false alarm? And it happened 93% of the time last year. In order to enforce the business license, building and zoning stepped up to the plate along with the police department. And we've increased from $84,000 in 2009-10 to $97,000 in additional business licenses. The business license, most of them are $25. So you can imagine how aggressive a plan that was to come up with $13,000. We will be bringing sewer billing back in. The water company was collecting sewer and trash bills. They had notified us a few months ago that they will no longer do that. Effective October 1st, they will no longer collect a bill. We have to have a program in place. So we had to hire a girl, or a person, which it ended up a girl, who's going to work in sewer billing and trash billing. Excuse me. Both the treasurer and the comptroller are getting ready for that transition. The girls are in place and they're learning the software, and we've got to get new software implemented to get back into that. The good news about that is the state treasurer set up a program that if anybody owes a community, the state, city, anybody money and has a tax refund, we can get it now. Because we'll have a database to send to the state. If you don't pay your trash bill, you don't pay your sewer bill, you don't pay a parking ticket, doesn't matter what it is, if you owe us money, the state will notify you. You have 60 days to dispute that. If you can't prove that we were in error, that'll be deducted from your next state income tax return, or if you're an employee, if you're a government employee, it'll be deducted from your paycheck. And they'll only deduct up to 25% for payday of your take-home pay. Over the building and zoning, over the last 3 years, we have had 1,889 applications for building permits with a total value of almost $42 million. We have issued 16,192 citations for municipal code violations. People say, how come you're letting that house go? How come this looks like that? 16,192 code violations in the last 3 years. That's with 3 to 4 inspectors, 3 secretaries. They also issue building permits. They do other jobs, not just code violations. So these guys are working hard too. These people get vacations. They get time off. We have placed liens on property, and I just updated this afternoon, of over $78,000 on homes in all for people that didn't comply. If we have to go to your house and cut your grass or to a lot you own, we bill you for that, plus the court fees, and then we place a lien on your property. So there's going to be about 700 people, I think, up to date now, that one of these days is going to try to sell their property or do something with it, and then they're going to end up owing us, and it's a lot of hassle you don't want to have to go through. Our local hospitals continue to invest in all. How many cities can you name? Probably none. Of 28,000 people, they have 3 hospitals. I mean, it's, people ask, now, how the heck do you get 3 hospitals? We're very fortunate. Healthcare is at a premium in Illinois. These 3 hospitals have invested probably close to $80 to $90 million in the last couple of years. We have a new Wendy's last year on the Beltline. A new Burger King this year. ConAgra had an expansion, built a new silo here just recently. Alton Steel has expanded and is getting ready to, I can't elaborate too much, but you're going to see some real positive and some real expansion that I think it will lead to our Alton Steel within the next couple of years. They got some big plans. They're very successful, and they've put back, they're probably around 230 to 250 employees down there now from the plant that was shut down. Those are good paying jobs. Zimmer Corporation, the first international company to move into Alton, and I don't know how long, maybe forever, maybe not. But they've made America the North American and Canadian headquarters here in Alton, Illinois. We welcome them with open arms, and they intend on growing into the Asian and South American markets, and as they do, that'll only expand for us. The Frew's bridal shop in the Sears building, been a great expansion, plus we saved an old historic building. Target spent over almost $1 million last year remodeling. The Wellness Center, the old Community Counseling Center, spent millions of dollars. Ascon put a new shredder in, investing money in the city. Illinois American Water just picked up a new $2 million building permit about 3 weeks ago. They're going to be expanding again. I think that's their third or fourth time since they've been down in the business park. Imperial Manufacturing, the other one, expanded about a year ago, adding about 60 new jobs. Marquette High School is putting on about a $3 to $4 million. Matter of fact, that project's going to start any day now. School is very important to your community. RiverBender, there's an example of a building that was totally vacant 3 years ago, and it's about 99% occupied now. Every floor in that river building. I think the last time I talked to John a week ago, there was 2 small vacant offices. Who would have ever thought you could fill that building in that short a time? Probably 80 to 90 jobs in that building at least now. So we're on the move. Don't let people fool you. We've done wonders for not having much money. I just mentioned about the Illinois American Water Company. What they'll do, they have 2 companies down there. They got the water company, then they got an insurance branch of the water company. The one that's going to expand is the insurance branch. But we were told that that's the $2 million expansion I just talked about. They're going to add about, let me see here, I had it today, I think they were going to add 12 new people to their payroll, plus move 17 part-timers up to full-time. So that's 29 full-time jobs added on down there. And they intend on having 130 full-time employees by 2015, just in the insurance end. Present employment at the Alton Center Business Park is probably right around a little less than 600 people. Along with the Sears Snyder's project, we negotiated another to save an old historic building with some TIF money, and we went to the Cracker Factory, which is one of the oldest buildings in the city, right on Broadway. Mike Kelly, a good friend of mine, supposedly says he's going to invest about $1.3 million into that project. Mike was recently discharged from the Marine Corps. He's been in Afghanistan, and he's working his way back to Alton. Hopefully we'll see some improvement there within the next 5 to 6 weeks, or at least get the plan started. McDonald's was in about a week ago. McDonald's is going to spend $900,000 on their Corner Ridge and Broadway there. Cat Daddy's Tavern downtown, Cat was in last week and talked to us. He's going to spend about $300,000 to $350,000 on his establishment downtown. People are investing in all. We're on the way back. We've got our financial house in order. We've got our payroll in order. We've got good employees, and I'm a very positive thinker. In these times, not many cities, I don't think, can boast and say the things that we're saying. We're meeting with the Main Street people, and we're conducting interviews with Main Street and our Phil and Matt, going to every business and up and down the Broadway corridor and downtown. What do you like about us? What don't you like about it? Can we do something to help you? What could we do to improve your business? We're going to categorize all that information when it's done, catalog it, and we'll see where we go from there. But then the businessmen in the town will have an input. General information, I'll hit real quick. I know you're hot. The summer 21, this summer will be 100%. July 21st will be 175 years old. As everybody can see, Bob's got on a shirt. We've got Thai class. We've got the books you see tonight, which everybody got one when they came in. We've got river cruises lined up with the Spirit of Peoria. We've got fireworks lined up. The Air Force Shades of Blue Band. All this is going to take place on July the 21st. Big fireworks show. We have license plates for sale. That'll be a collector's item. We only bought 299, so they're limited. Anniversary book I just talked about. I'd like to thank the Bank Edwardsville again. They donated almost an acre of property on the Corner Ridge and Broadway. That's very valuable to us, right there on that high-profile corner. Plus Ridge Street, we've had problems in the past. Now we can kind of control our own destiny. We continue to go green in the city. We signed a new refuse contract again. Save the city $425,000 and reduce your fees, and you don't have to have an increase in your fees for 3 years. You never have to buy a garbage can again until this contract expires if they don't renew it. We're recycling. We made Wall Street Journal on their website a couple weeks ago. Alton doubled recycling in their first month. These are important things. They give us exposure. We're working on a plan. People have complained, and we knew we were going to have glitches in this. People don't have a way to get rid of bulk items. We're working on a plan where we're going to set up dumpsters, and we're going to have scrappers there to come get your metal. We've got e-recyclers who are going to come and take all your electronic waste. We're going to have like a Salvation Army there to take clothes and those kind of donations. And again, it's a form of big recycling, and a lot of that won't end up in the landfill there. But that should be coming to fruition shortly. We installed an electric car charging station at City Hall, which it didn't cost us anything. And I thought, well, nobody's going to use that. There's probably not a week goes by when somebody's not out there. And usually I work on weekends. There's always somebody out there on a Saturday with their car plugged in. We retrofitted 5 of our big fire vehicles to reduce diesel emissions by about 60%. All traffic lights in the city this summer that are on IDOT right-of-ways will go to LED lights to become more efficient. Every fluorescent bulb in the city has been replaced. From a normal fluorescent bulb, it's called a T12. It's an energy hog. The federal government mandated you go down to a T8. We've done that. Every building in the city is compliant. And we went out again and got a $62,000 grant to achieve that. We got 2 new e-cycling companies in town. Dale Kelly, Dale's here tonight. Dale has saved this city over $625,000 in energy costs since I've been the mayor. It just continues to grow. He never stands pat, says I've done enough. He's always looking for new ways. Electrical aggregation that you voted for will go into place probably, I hope, by the 1st of July. To give you an idea, you can look at your bill. Say you use 800 kilowatts a month of power. You can adjust that. It should save you about $32 a month, or about $190 a year. No, I'm over with two. That wouldn't be right. It's going to save you about $190 a year, probably about $18 to $20 a month. But if you look at your usage, this is on the supply side. And it'll show you how many kilowatts you use, and then we can determine what your cost and how much of a savings you're going to have from what you had last year. NGRAC, the National Great Rivers Research and Educational Center, is into the 2nd phase this year. We're going to implement a crime-free housing program later this year, and as information is funneled into the system. This program will prove has proved successful throughout the state, and it will bring a lot more accountability to both landlords and tenants. I had a lot of other stuff here I was going to talk about. I know you're hot, so I'm going to try to narrow this down. I would like to say we lost a long time, 24, 26-year, tenured alderman last year. Earlier this year, Phil Hanrahan. Phil was a great public servant, one of the best aldermen I ever worked with. We lost our fire chief to retirement, and I appreciated my previous chief. He was again, one of the guys that helped us work our way through these trying times financially. Bernie stepped in and just doing an excellent job right behind him. And I'll tell you, a long-time friend of ours who's going to be leaving us, and don't think that this whole area won't see the impact on it, is Jerry Costello. Jerry Costello is one of the most influential, tenured congressmen in the United States of America. And buddy, when those positions change, I don't care who gets elected, we're going to suffer for years. That old federal money will start drying up to the more senior members. But life moves on, and we'll deal with that, and we'll work with whoever gets elected. Let me see, I'll touch on a couple good notes I wanted to share with you. But on a positive note, we're continuing to work with the movie theater people. I feel about as positive as I can at this time. I don't have anything in concrete to tell you yet, but I wouldn't be bringing it up if I didn't think we were going to put a deal together here probably the next few weeks. Hotel, we've been meeting with 2 different hoteliers at the Great Central site where we demolished that. We had some people in town about a week ago from Michigan spend 2 or 3 hours with us. Don't know where that's going yet. Those are awfully complex deals. And we got a banker here in Terry, I know, but hotels and those kind of projects are at the bottom of the food chain with investors. You really got to have your ducks lined up to get a loan to build a hotel. But we're working with 2 good companies. And I feel positive, but there's nothing there yet that I can brag about, like I think the movie theater's going to go. On a good note, everybody's been hearing me cry for 3 years about our finances. This past week, we got a call. Illinois has a telecommunications tax, which you pay on your cell phone, your home phone, whatever. We don't collect it. We don't set it up. I don't even know what the rate is. The state handles that in their entirety. And then they send us a check for whatever our portion is supposed to be. Well, about a week ago, we got a call where we'd been underpaid to the tune of $1,100,000. We received a check last week for $1,100,000 plus dollars. What that does for us, now it sounds like a lot of money. But what that'll do for us, our employees aren't even guaranteed 2 paydays. If something would go south in the city, we don't have enough money to make 2 payrolls. That money is going to guarantee that our employees are at least going to get paid until we can work something out. It's not like we're going to waste it or spend it. We never waste it, but like spend it or spend it on projects. We're going to make sure that we can meet our obligations to our employees. They're hardworking people. We'll put that in the reserve fund. Our reserve fund at one time was up to over $5.5 million, maybe more.
Over 10.
Pardon me?
Over 10.
Over what?
10 million.
10 million. Oh my goodness, I never knew that. Oh my God, now I'm sick. But anyway, our reserve fund now is a mediocre, about a $600,000 amount, and we're going to put this into it so that we can guarantee that if something does happen, we've got money for a little bit of a crisis. $1 million sounds like a lot of money. That's not much money in government. But anyway, I know you're sweating. I know I'm sweating bullets. I appreciate everybody coming. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them tonight. If you don't feel like asking tonight, you want to call me at work. Again, I have an open door policy. I'm always there. You can come in and see me anytime you want. I appreciate you coming, sitting through the heat. I hope you're more informed than when you came in here and have a better grasp on how our city runs. Thank you very much.